All right, guys, welcome back for another video. In today's video, I want to cover Ethereum BTC on the higher time frames. And right now, we're looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart on Coinbase. I look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart as a reflection of alts versus Bitcoin, since so many of the alts, especially a lot of the successful alts, are based on the Ethereum protocol. And right now, what we see is sort of a little bit of a consolidation period, at least on the high time frames, right, relative to the previous leg up. So you get this previous leg up, and then at least on the monthly chart, this can be seen as a little bit of volatility contraction. So at some point it will take another leg, whether that's to the downside or to the upside. And the way I'm looking at this right now, I have this trend line drawn here, so you can see, at least on the weekly chart, a very clearly defined set of higher lows, and as well as higher highs. Now, the one caveat here and the one warning sign would be, if you ever if you ever see this signature in price, where price runs just up above the highs of a consolidation and then immediately slams back below, back into the middle of the range, that's generally not a good sign. It's generally a sign that it's going to break lower and liquidity has been taken on the top side of the range. But, in this instance, it did defend the low, set in a higher low, and rallied off that. We can see that on a daily chart. If we go down, yeah, it came down here, setting new highs. So, this is kind of a difficult area to be, approaching the market with very strong conviction. I do think this low here is extremely significant. Just mark this off real quick. This low right here. So, whether you're looking at a weekly basis, I'm pretty sure if you close a daily below these daily lows, you would also get a break to the downside. But that's the way I would be looking at it. And now, I guess, the follow-up question is, if that low breaks the downside, well, what are the targets? Well, you have this impulsive move up, right? This impulsive leg coming from last year. I would first move to this high right here. Maybe you draw a 618 retracement over this. They generally, the golden pocket of a 618 retracement and this type of price distinction here generally come in a similar area. But I would be looking at these highs right here. Of course, it could retrace lower, but that would be the first area I'd be looking for if these lows break. Now, this area represents the area of inefficiency. So if these lows get broken, price could move very, very in a volatile fashion down to the next price distinction. So you don't necessarily want to be trading into that unless you have some other methodology, of course. Now, to the upside, what happens to the upside? Well, I think in the current state of BTC, if it just continues what it's doing currently and sort of grinds its way up, if it steadily grinds to the upside, that would be typically a good sign for further continuation. That's a very classic sign that a consolidation is going to break to the upside. If you see price slowly grinding up at resistance, and then maybe it gets up right at the upper level of the consolidation and just kind of hangs out there, continually making higher highs, but only modestly so, I consider that to be accumulation at resistance, and it's an extremely bullish sign, right? Essentially, what the market is doing in those situations is shaking out, convincing short sellers to step into the market right before the market hits the gas. Generally, but the one thing that has me leaning towards this breaking to the downside is generally what's going on in the Bitcoin market. With the recent sell-off. Typically, if you do see a rally in the crypto market, typically you see Bitcoin taking the reins first, at least in a healthy rally. And in that scenario, I think if you see that, it's just typical standard behavior for the crypto cycle. I think in that scenario, the most likely thing you would see is these lows being taken out on the BTC chart, and then price coming down and feeling a little bit of a retracement, somewhere below these lows, near these highs. And again, I would be looking at that as like a very, very significant area to be purchasing altcoins. If, of course, if you get the opportunity. In that scenario, maybe typically when Bitcoin takes the lead in the market, it takes the lead for a few months. I think in 2020, Bitcoin took the lead for about 4 months initially, and before altcoins caught up and kind of overtook it in some sense. And this is a weekly chart, so that would kind of line up with what we're seeing in the chart, right? If these lows get broken, it wouldn't instantly, make it down to this distinction. It would take its time. It would take several weeks, several months. But then, this might be a good area to buy into. Of course, you need a long setup coming in around, on a lower time frame around that level, but that'd just be something I'd keep an eye on. Another thing worth mentioning is that during this pretty heavy sell-off we see in Bitcoin and the broader crypto markets, you want to be focused on the altcoins that have performed the best during this period, or at least held their ground the most. Those are probably the most successful projects, and probably going to be the altcoins that rally initially and rally the most aggressively when the crypto market does, resume its kind of historical bullish patterns. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more uploads. Catch you guys.